speaking about politics, I will never get back the 45 minutes that I wasted the other day watching Simon Holmes à Court address the press club in Canberra about his organisation and funding of independence. He tried to convince people that Climate 200, we're not a political party, we're just facilitating these independents to fundraise. And yes, Zali Steggall had a $100,000 cheque. I mean, it was just unbelievable how he tried to get away with it. Good on the journos there who stuck it to him in questions. But there's no doubt Climate 200 is a quasi-political party. He might say it's not, but clearly it is. Jason Falinski is the federal Liberal MP for Mackellar. He joins us on a regular basis. Good to catch up again.
Nice to speak to you again, Steve. How are you?
I'm well. You would have been in the House when just prior to question time when that speech was given. Can you believe Simon Holmes à Court trying to convince everyone they're not a political party?
No, mate, I can't. I mean, I'm a bit of a fan of the television series Succession, and the more I watch Simon Holmes à Court, the more he reminds me of Kendall Roy. I mean, the classic moment came when Catherine Murphy from The Guardian said, so Simon, you talk about a scientific approach to climate change. What does that mean for you? And he said, it's not up to me to say, Catherine. I mean, they just have no answers to anything. I mean, it's their core for being is climate change, and he has nothing. He has absolutely nothing. He's just got a slogan, and behind that slogan is the next one.
And then the other question to him, of course, was, well, hang on a minute. Of these independents right around the country, 11 of them are in Liberal-held seats. Are you not just really an alternative Labor Green, opponent of the Liberal Party? And he wouldn't even answer that question.
That's because, Steve, if you actually knew what he stood for, you wouldn't vote for him. So the only way that he and the fake independents that he's putting up can get away with it is by not answering questions. Because if you knew what they stood for, you'd never, ever vote for them. And it's the same with where they get their money from. If you knew where... Do you think the people of Warringah last year would have voted the way they did in 2019 if they'd known that the person who was talking most about climate change, her largest donor had been a coal investor who'd made most of his money from a coal mine that he bought from Eddie Obeid? Do you think the people of Warringah deserve to know that before they cast their ballots? I think
Did they ever? Of course they deserve to know that. I mean, and we had Zali Steggall on the project on Monday night, and Waleed and I asked her some pretty tough questions, of which she could not answer any of them. And this idea that a $100,000 donation, now you know as well as anyone, I mean, what would be the largest donation you would have got during the last campaign? If $100,000 came through the door, even if it was from 8 different people, it was in one cheque, by the way, you would go, I wonder where that's from. How come they're so keen to support me? I mean, you definitely would do that, wouldn't you?
Mate, I'm grateful to people who put their hand in their pocket for $50. I always make sure I say thank you to them. The fact that the claim from her campaign that she got a $100,000 cheque, has never met the bloke, didn't know who he was, and then Damien Hodgkinson, who was the person doing the books, who, by the way, is the sole shareholder of Climate 200. So Climate
and charges every candidate $30,000 to set up their campaign structure. 30,000.
Absolutely. So one of the reasons that I think Simon Holmes à Court can say, I'm not a political party, is because he's a lot more than that. There are all these people clipping all these donations on the way through. It stinks to high heaven, quite frankly.
I even read a story this morning that Hodgkinson worked out that when he was running Kerryn Phelps' run at the seat of Wentworth, which she ultimately won when Malcolm Turnbull stood down, they worked out after they went through that exercise with Phelps that this was a business opportunity.
Mate, he's a corporate advisor whose job is essentially to structure assets for wealthy individuals to minimise the amount of tax they pay. And now he's involved in raising money for political campaigns on behalf of people who inherited a lot of money, Steve, a lot of money, because they think that this is a corporate takeover. They think that parliamentary elections is an opportunity to do to Parliament what you do to corporations. So you have no policies, no ideas, no vision. That's the takeout from the Simon Holmes à Court speech at the press club. All you're left with is the proposition, vote for us, we've got a lot of money.
Well, let's get stuck into your mob now after getting stuck into them, as I'm well aware you knew was coming. Why is there no Liberal candidate selected to stand against Zali Steggall in Warringah?
Mate, because it's a massive failure on our part. It's unforgivable what's happened. We're not giving the people of Warringah are crying out for a choice, and at the moment we're not giving them a choice. We had, I think, an outstanding candidate, someone who would have made a real difference to Australia's life in politics and in Parliament in the form of Jane Bunkle. I'm hoping that she might reconsider stepping back into the fray. I think that her contribution in politics would be superb. But honestly, this comes down to a whole bunch of people in the Liberal Party who have to actually realise that they owe the people of Warringah a choice here, and whatever differences there may be at the moment, they have to get on with the job and do our duty of offering people a choice.
You're a New South Wales Liberal. What's going on in the New South Wales branch of the Liberal Party? It seems to be in complete disarray.
Mate, I'd rather explain quantum physics to you. To be blunt, I don't know what's going on. I can tell you what's going on in my patch, and I can tell you what's going on in federal Parliament. What I can tell you is, as a member of the New South Wales Liberal Party, I'm one of the people urging them to get on with it. Because
don't they want to win the election? Don't they want to win the election?
Oh, well, look, I can tell you I desperately want to win the election, because when I look at the alternative, which is Anthony Albanese winning the election, the impact of that and what it will mean for ordinary Australians, working Australians, is horrendous. We owe it to the people of Australia to get on with the job and give them the choice that they sorely need.
Not far from your patch is Willoughby, state seat, 20% swing. Does that make you nervous?
Look, as the guy who used to run...
Do I take that as yes?
Well, yeah, actually. So the answer is yes. But the guy who used to run Intel said, look, only the paranoid survive. And I think that's very true in politics. I think Willoughby, though, at the moment, they haven't started counting the postal votes. As you know, Steve, because of the circumstances of this election, I think roughly half the people who voted, in fact, slightly over half the people who voted, did so by postal vote. It's our view that they will more heavily favour the Liberal Party. So at the moment, we've got a snapshot of what people on the day and at pre-poll thought, but we have to wait and see how the postals shake out.
Always great to catch up, mate. Good luck. We'll talk to you during the campaign, obviously.
Really appreciate it. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Jason Falinski there, the Federal Liberal MP for Mackellar. Can you believe that? They still haven't pre-selected a candidate to stand against Zali Steggall in the weeks where she's blown up her own political career by taking those donations and not being able to explain them. The Liberals can't capitalise on it because they don't have a candidate. Seems ridiculous.